What's up YouTube, Metro here 2012 here, and I am currently downloading NBA 2K17. My download is working kind of funky, but it looks like it's going to be downloaded just in time for the 11 o'clock release, so I'm in Central Time, so technically that's still midnight on the East Coast. So I'm going to get the game very soon, and the very first thing I want to do is look at the expansion leagues, because I know how interesting that is to me, and it probably is to a lot of you too. So I'm going to go ahead and do a GM mode, an expansion team. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Leave a thumbs up if you like it, so you can see more of this series. My hopes for it is to eventually buy out the team. I know that's an option in my GM, is to earn 100,000 VC. Not gonna just throw it in the game with real money, but earn 100,000 VC and buy this expansion team that I'm going to become the GM of. So if this sounds like a series that you want to see, please leave a thumbs up so I know you guys are liking it. Hopefully you enjoyed, and see you in episode 2. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into my GM mode. Go to expansion and league. In the Western Conference, we're looking through all the teams that are available here, so if you want to just jump in an expansion team and go with the pre-built one, you can uploads. Luckily enough, there were. This is just at launch. There's already a ton of people just putting stuff on there, so of course there's somebody who put on the Seattle Supersonics logo. I'm going to grab that, and our team is going to be the Seattle Supersonics. I just figured it was a little bit more realistic. We're going to be playing this more realistically as if the NBA were actually expanding, because Seattle does really want a team back, and if the league were to expand, they'd probably be doing it through them. So I thought it was a good idea to do the Seattle Supersonics. If you guys want to see a different team, I'd be happy to do that. NBA 2K16, I did a lot of Toon Squad stuff. I don't know if that's really a realistic one, but maybe I could do an unrealistic one. But I think this is going to be really good. So we're going to go ahead and build the stadium here. For arena name, we originally started off with Air Arena, because we were going to do it like a Michael Jordan one, but unfortunately I couldn't find the community upload for that. So we're going to go ahead and label this Air Arena. Just in the short term, we're going to end up changing it in just a little bit here, but we wanted to be sure that the court capacity is kind of maxed out, so I went with either the most or the second most for the capacity of the crowd. And then we're going to go with the honeycomb pattern for the court, with a little bit darker in the mid-court and then the three-point line a little bit lighter. This allows us to make a lighter three-point line, and you can just know if it's a three-point or not depending on what court you're standing on. I think it's kind of a cool effect. Other than that, we're just changing around a few lines to make it feel like we kind of want it to feel in the end. We're going to be adding some text and logos in just a little bit here. Alright, so we're moving on to the other areas of the court, and for instance, we are making the baseline, the first baseline, Seattle text, and we're trying to find kind of a cool text that works for this environment, and I do that I'm going to use throughout the Seattle Sonic look, backy, cartoony color, I guess you could say. I do think it looks really Air Arena there. I don't think I ever changed that, so I think it's going to say Air Arena. Okay guys, sorry I had to switch microphones. It's kind of weird how this all worked out, but my audio essentially wasn't recording, so I had to do it on my iPad and then send it to my computer and then put it into my recording software, and it's all a huge mess. But anyways, continuing on. We are putting text in our stadium, and it sucks because that is still going to say Air Arena even though we changed it to Space Needle Center. Put in a Western Conference sticker down there, and then we're going to just head out so we can change the name to Space Needle Arena officially. So we are the Space Needle Arena, however it does say Air Arena in the top left, so maybe we can have two names, or I can eventually change it later. But yeah, we'll see. In terms of Jumbotrons, I really wanted a huge screen like Jerry Jones style, but there was the one that was huge was just a little bit too much for me, so I went with like the second largest one, and it tucked up a little bit more into the rafters. So I figured that was probably the better way to go. I just didn't want to overdo it, but I wanted it to be pretty cool. And then for the scoreboard sidelines, I wanted it to be kind of thin and medium length, not super long, and then pick some average sponsors, ones you'd expect to see. And I just feel like the yellow seats just look awesome in this. It's crazy how awesome this arena looks. I think I did an awesome job with it. Please like the video, leave a comment if you like this stadium, or if you've seen one better, if you feel like there's someone's channel who made a really cool stadium. Tell me about it so I can go see it. I always like to see new ideas, but I thought this one was really cool. And just changing the sound effects really quick. Alright, so we finished up the stadium, now we're heading into uniform design. Now I have all this in fast motion just like the stadium, just because there's a lot involved, but at least I did cut out the areas where I'm looking for logos through the store, or through the community uploads, because that's what definitely took the longest. I feel like I have pretty creative design when it comes to jerseys. I made some really cool ones in 2K16, but those were for Toon Squad. They had a little bit different colors. Maybe I can make Toon Squad jerseys. If you guys really like these jerseys and you just want to see videos of like creating jerseys or something, definitely say that as well. Anything you say in the comments, I'll take into consideration. So if you really like watching just different ways of making jerseys, leave a comment down below, and also the likes do really help, and they let me know that series are important to you guys and you want to see them. So please do that. So on the back, I did kind of a metallic number. I made it the shiny numbers, and I made it kind of the same color as the jersey, but it shines in the light, so you see their name and number because it's so reflective. Is kind of the idea of it, and I thought it was really cool. So it can kind of keep the all white look, and then the back has those white / gray silver diamond pattern. And then the only real color splash I'm putting in there is the collar, and then around the sleeves, the logo, and then the one stripe on the left side, which has green and yellow in it. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this logo. I think it's really cool, and then I'm just going to throw the actual logo down here on the shorts next to the number. And the number I have currently as that silver as well. And I'm just trying out different options here with the logos, but decide that I really like the way this looks. And also throwing a Jordan logo on the jersey just to kind of solidify them as our jersey sponsor and make the jerseys look a little bit more authentic, so that's always something that helps. And then I did a quick 360 just to show you guys what the jersey looks like in total, and we're moving on to the away jersey. Alright, so for this jersey, I started off by going solid green, and it's cool, it kind of works. It's kind of more of the Sonic feel, but since this is a new expansion and it's the new Sonics, I decided to go a different route with it, because I kind of like this checkered look for the collar and stuff, so I'm going a little bold here, all black. It's not really a Seattle Supersonic color, but then again, like I mentioned, this is a new Seattle Sonics team. So we're going to go a little bit bold, have all white jerseys, all black jerseys, and then the stripes are going to be the team color. In the end, it looks pretty cool. So it doesn't feel too much like our team is black colored. It really does feel green and gold. And then here I'm experimenting with what color I want the numbers to be. There was a particular image I was looking for to make it look kind of starry behind the name and number, but I couldn't end up finding that, so I decided just to make them gold. Sticking with the shiny theme, going gold number and name, and then throwing another Jordan logo, this time a white one up in the corner. And then this was kind of difficult to decide which logo I wanted to use for this jersey, just because it's such a unique jersey. I wanted it to be kind of cool, and I decided to go with this. This is my own kind of creative idea. I went with this interesting Seattle logo, and then went ahead and put on the Seattle Sonics text in my own way. I didn't find that from community uploads. I just added it, so then I made this kind of its own logo, this diagonal Seattle Sonics with the Space Needle basketball. I think it ended up being pretty cool. It was actually kind of an interesting idea. And then I'm just going to change the number on the pants to gold to match everything else. Throw another logo in the bottom corner for consistency's sake. And then also the name. And then one more thing I add to the pants down here is I believe I throw on a city skyline because I didn't feel done with it yet. Yeah, here I go, throw on like a Seattle city skyline. Just kind of a cool idea to put in the bottom of the shorts. So I thought that ended up really cool for that jersey. Just getting the placement right here. And then yeah, I think that overall looks pretty good. So moving on, we actually had to select the city we wanted to move to, and I just wanted to show you guys how many cities there actually are to relocate in. So you have plenty of options, way more than you do in like Madden relocations. You can move up to Canada too if you'd like. So yeah, we have our city chosen, we have everything done, and we're ready to advance on our team expansion and move towards the draft. Set up some league options really quick. Just made it so it's going to be 5-minute quarters, and then it's going to increase the stats, so whatever you get in 5 minutes is going to equal that into like the 12-minute quarters. I'm probably going to switch to 6 just so it doubles it, so whatever stats I get is going to end up doubling. We're going to go ahead and launch the GM mode and have a conversation with our owner. And here he is. He has a lot of interesting goals for us. He understands that it's a new team, but he still wants to be somewhat competitive. He doesn't want to miss out in the playoffs the first 3 years. He just wants to sneak in there. He doesn't say we have to win anything too big. He just says he wants to be in the playoffs in 3 years, which I think is a fair goal. So I told him I think I could do that. And also in the expansion draft, he's saying he understands it's going to be a process, and he wants me to be drafting young players. So in this expansion draft, we are the only teams, so we don't have to fight against other teams for players, so we can kind of take them whatever order we want to, which is interesting. It might be an interesting dynamic to go up against other teams and see who they take in the expansion, but it turns out that there are some pretty good rookies that teams don't protect. And there's also kind of, you'll see like overpaid veterans. There's a lot of people who are paid a lot who teams don't really care if they lose to get their salary off the books. But yeah, so we're going to listen to our coach and kind of go for young players. So the idea is to get the average age 25 or less on our team. And there's a few players that are over that age, or at least one that's over the age of 25. But for the majority of them, they're all under 25 and usually even 20. So you can see kind of what players are here. I sort by age right away because I know that's what he wants. And I thought it was really interesting that Scala Bassier was there because he was a first-round draft pick this year. He's almost a second. He's very late first, but he's still a very talented big, and a lot of people thought he should have gone earlier than he did, so he actually slid very far, and he could be like what should have been a lottery pick this year for our team. So it's awesome solidifying him. And then I wanted Boban because he's 7'4". I don't think I picked him right here, but I do come back and get him. I wanted Boban because he's the tallest player in the game, and he's really fun to play with. Let's see who I picked number 2. Oh, that's right, I never did pick Shabazz Muhammad. I was thinking about picking Shabazz Muhammad, but I ended up just not doing it. There's other players at his position that I wanted over him. When I am a Timberwolves fan, and when I play as the Timberwolves, I tend to not really prefer playing with Shabazz. He's 6'6", kind of undersized. We went with Tim Hardaway, a guy who plays shooting guard and small forward. He's like pretty young. Went with Diamond Stone with our 3rd pick. He's a young player. He's actually from Wisconsin, went to Maryland. He's a very talented big who can become good in this league, but he definitely has a lot of development to do. And then we went with Archie Goodwin, the shooting guard, originally from Kentucky, I believe. Tyus Jones, obviously this is the Timberwolves point guard, backup, 3rd string now, but Tyus is a Minnesota native, and they really love him there. So we're excited to have him. And I kind of took a peek at Kay Felder from the Cavaliers. I believe we might end up getting him later, but I'm not sure. Still looking at these young players to see who is left out on the table for us to take from other teams for free. Look at Myers Leonard there, strong consideration. I know he used to be a 3-point shooter, and it looks like they took that away from him completely, which kind of stinks because he would be a very easy choice had they not done that. But yeah, you can't really do anything about it. So I went and sorted by overall just to see kind of what's here. And there I go, taking Boban. I just couldn't resist. So he's the one older player. He's 28 years old, so I didn't know kind of what we should do about that. Grabbed a Malik Beasley, who was the 1st-round pick in this year's draft. So I'm kind of loading up on these young guys, these these first and second round picks in this recent year's draft. Kind of looking at Rashad Vaughn's stats, trying to see like who's actually a decent shooter, and everybody's pretty terrible. And I remember this guy in the draft from France, 6'5", like a shooting guard, wing kind of guy on the 76ers. So I decided to take him because I figure he's going to have some potential to become a good shooting guard / small forward, or maybe a bench player in the future. So I thought maybe he'd be a good grab there because he'll definitely keep the age down because he's only like 20 or 21. So trying to get that goal accomplished for our owner. And still kind of deciding where we want to go with this pick. And Myers Leonard has an A mid and an F 3-point, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but he is a very solid player, being 7'2" power forward and still having that good of a shot. So because he's here, I think we'll take him. And Michael Beasley intrigues me because he can play small forward and power forward and can shoot. And a pretty good defender, so he's very tempting just to have on the team as like a depth aspect, or maybe even start. But he's tempting me right now, and so is Patty Mills. Patty Mills is probably one of the best players in this, but he has quite a big salary, and he's 28, so I didn't want that age to go up any higher because I already selected Boban. So yeah, I sorted by 3-point, and looking here, there's not a lot of good young 3-point shooters. But I have to find kind of like small forward because I know up until my last few picks I didn't have any small forwards. I kind of ignored the position because there was a little bit more talent at other positions. This is where I go ahead and select Michael Beasley just because of his not durability, but his he's the jack of all trades. He can play other positions. Slipping my mind, but yeah, so he can fit in a number of positions. And then we end up looking here at Deontay Davis from Michigan State. He's the big man, all their big man that fell next to Skull. So those two are both like considered to be lottery picks that fell all the way to the end of the first or early second round for those teams, the Kings and Grizzlies. So we're lucky to pick them up. Because they didn't protect him because they were such a late pick. Maybe if they were an earlier pick, they would have been protected, but lucky for us they weren't. So we have kind of a core to build around in the front court. And here we do pick Kay Felder, so we decided to take him as our backup to Tyus. Tyus is going to be our starting point guard, and then Kay is going to come in off the bench. He's only 5'9", so we have two very small point guards, but they're both very skilled, so we're going to be giving them chances. And I mean, that's technically what expansion drafts are all about. So far this is actually feeling pretty realistic because, I mean, Tyus Jones was going to be a third-string point guard. Kay Felder was really not going to play much on the Cavs, and then all these other guys are kind of like later picks and people who are often overlooked, like Boban, the 7'4" guy. I mean, he just got a decent contract this year. He's probably the highest paid player on my team, but I couldn't resist when I saw him there. So yeah, I've taken multiple looks at Rashad Vaughn because I really like him being on the Bucks and being originally from Wisconsin, but he doesn't have the stats, and a lot of these guys don't. I don't understand why so many people are such horrible 3-point shooters. Maybe it's because they improve over time. I have no idea, but I'm trying to be very particular in this draft, and there's a lot of people who interest me, but there's little things that pull me away from wanting to do it. And RJ Hunter's another guy. Like, I always thought he was like a spot-up stud shooter, but I never end up drafting him. And here I look at Tony Snell. 13th round, which is the last pick in my draft. So Tony Snell ends up being the guy I take, a shooting two-way player who can play small forward for us at 6'7". So excited to have him on the team. He's kind of the fitting piece that we really needed all along and kind of forgot to take until the last pick. So glad we picked him up. Here's an overview of the team that I drafted for us. It's kind of crazy when I think about how young we are. I know the coach wanted it, but we really don't have much veteran leadership. And this team's going to have to grow together for sure. That's kind of the idea, is this expansion team is going to be good. Not necessarily this year, maybe not next year, but the year after they should be a solid team, solid enough to make the playoffs so we can accomplish both of our goals given to us by our owner. So here we have the option. We leveled up twice throughout this expansion draft. and we're just going to pick a few badges that are going to help us throughout this first season. Alright, so now here's the thing. After this, I'm going to look at the free agents, and here's where I want your guys' input. Do you think I should be picking up free agents like Lance Stevenson, or anybody on this list that you see that you think I should be picking up? Let me know I should. I just want to be sure I get the realism right. I don't want to be too unrealistic. So let me know if you think I should do that, or if I should just roll with the team that I drafted and work in the off season to be able to improve them and like see some games. So if you leave likes on this video, if there's enough likes, I will be uploading tomorrow to get this next video up of actual gameplay of this team. If you want to see this team in action, leave a like. That way I'll know you want to see more, and I'll have a video for you guys tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hope you have a good day.